Hello, welcome to this video where we will design step by step a balance scorecard for customer service. We'll start with a short introduction, theoretical introduction, and then we'll switch to the BC Designer software where we will do the design of the balance scorecard step by step. Why we decided to use a customer service balance scorecard as an example? Uh, basically, because of the two reasons. One is that most of us are familiar with customer services, and two, that customer service exists in any organization. So you will be able to reuse the ideas that you will learn uh, right away after watching this video, or you will be able to apply them to other areas of your organization, not necessarily customer service. Okay, before starting the actual design of the scorecard, I would suggest to discuss a little bit the model of the business so that we could understand what are the challenges that we are dealing with and how we're supposed to address these challenges. Okay, so the very basic model of the customer service is this one. It starts with a customer who has some question. Then it's possible that this customer will be able to find the answer in the knowledge base or some kind of self-service customer service that you provide. Then another option is that your customer will be contacting your organization, where it will be dealing with, let's call it first line agent, and second line agent that will be probably dealing with the same request if the first line agent was not able to respond. So this is a very basic model. What happens with this knowledge then? Hopefully, an organization will learn from the questions that it is getting and from the questions that are searched in the knowledge base, and some learning process will happen. So that's a very basic model of a customer service. If you do a business scorecard or balance scorecard for any other business unit or for the whole organization, I would suggest to start with charting a model like this to make sure that everyone understands how the basic mechanics works. It's not the balance scorecard yet, but it helps to get things focused. Okay, so we had an idea about customer service and the model of how it's supposed to work. Let's see how can we respond, how can we improve, because the balance scorecard is about strategy. It's about executing your strategy, and strategy is about making choices. It's many things. So in terms of customer service model, what will be the response plan to the challenges that you have? Again, let's have a look at this chart. Again, it depends on your organization. I will come up with some challenges with some response plan just for the purpose of this video, not trying to give some universal advice that probably won't work in your case, but they will serve as an example. So a customer has a question. I could deduce that this happened because the customer was not able to understand your product well enough. So probably your product is not that user-friendly. So one of the response plan for me would be to make the product user-friendly, a little bit more user-friendly. Well, at least that's how we deal with the challenges in BC designers. So when a customer asks us about something, yeah, we're trying to answer the question, we're trying to solve the problem, but also we start thinking about the reasons of the question, and sometimes we change the product to make it more user-friendly. Then, knowledge base. I guess many organizations provide some kind of knowledge base, but those knowledge bases are not that easy to use. Again, we're talking about customer experience here. So I guess if you had a knowledge base that is attractive, engaging, and people prefer to use it to find the answers to their challenges, then people would use this knowledge base more time. Again, in BC design, we take it seriously, and our knowledge base about the software, we have it in two forms. You'll find text manuals, which are clear enough. We updated them a lot of times, and you will also find some training videos, because we understand that some people prefer to read manuals, but in some cases it's better to watch video, because in manual sometimes it's tricky to understand some nuances. Okay, so that's the challenge, the response plan for the knowledge base. What about the actual customer service, when we have first line agent who responds to the query and the second line agent who responds to the query? Probably the challenge here is about training. It's about training to make sure that people from the first line are able to solve more problems, and only the most important, the most challenging problems, the most challenging questions are answered by their second line agents, because obviously second line agents are more expensive. Okay, what happens then when this information is supposed to get into the company, supposed to teach us something? What happens there? Is it always that simple, that companies are learning from their mistakes? Not. It's not true. Why? Because there are a lot of silos, a lot of informational silos in the companies. So our challenge is to actually break those silos, to make sure that people from sales are talking to people from marketing, and people from marketing are talking and exchanging ideas with the developers, engineers, and so on and so forth. So breaking silos. I'm not sure about how it will sound in your organization, but this is a very typical challenge. So we have that diagram. Now, I would recommend to apply a different lawyer to the same diagram. Follow the money. Think about the costs of your internal mechanics in this case. Think about the costs that are involved in making sure that your business is working. So in this case, where the costs are, I can say that knowledge base is relatively inexpensive to maintain. So you do it, you create some materials, you make them accessible, you maintain them. It's relatively not that expensive. Where the higher costs are associated with the people that answer the question. So the first line agent will be associated with higher costs. And finally, the highest cost will be associated with the second line agents who respond to the queries. Okay, I think that's enough introductional information to have in mind before we start building a balance scorecard. Again, for my opinion, This is a good starting point for any strategical analyst to understand how the basic mechanics works in that company or in that business unit, to understand where the challenges are, to sketch some response plans that you have in mind. Obviously, your team will have a lot of response time and response plans and challenges in mind. And I believe it's also a good idea to map some costs to understand how you should prioritize the things on your strategy map. So that was the first part. In the second part, we'll continue with